Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome today to my review of the CasiOak, the Casio G-Shock GA2100, undoubtedly one of the hottest watches of last year. I've never really been an early adopter myself. I've always waited till the hype died down before emerging and peering at whatever it was that generated all the hype to try and work out whether it was worth all that hype in the first place. And so it is with the Casio. These things were trading at a premium last year. I'm not paying over retail for anything, and certainly not a Casio G-Shock. Having said that, I didn't even buy this one. This one is on loan from a friend of mine over in Melbourne, Mr. Phoenix. Big shout out and a big thank you to you. Mr. Phoenix is a notorious flipper. He rarely keeps a watch in his collection for more than a month. So I've been delighted to get a shot of this one before he undoubtedly flips it within weeks. Now I've got a few years on him. He's a younger man than I am. Perhaps he can work out what time it is, but I can't. I don't care. This watch is crushingly cool. Let's flip the camera and have a look at it. 2019, the year of the CasiOak, the Timex Q and Baby Yoda. Let's see where all three of those are come the end of 2020. I suspect the Baby Yoda craze is only just beginning. Really interesting that the watch community got behind a couple of affordables in the form of the Timex Q and this CasiOak over the course of 2019. I think for guys like me, and I suspect most of you who aren't prepared to pay double retail chasing a Rolex, Pepsi or Bat Person GMT, watches like this give us a chance to get on trend. There's a bit of a buzz about this one. You be the first guy amongst your group of friends to have the latest trendy watch that's a little bit hard to get and therefore commanded a little bit of a premium over the retail price, but not so much of a premium that you are spending the entirety of next month's mortgage payment. And I think if you get one of these at retail, it's actually a fantastic watch. So let's talk price briefly. US retail on these is $99, but good luck getting anything other than the red one for $99 at the moment. Certainly this stealth mode and my preferred one, the one that you can actually tell the time on, are still commanding a premium. Looks like they've added a couple of new colorways since they initially released them as well. This one possibly for Rastafaris. This one, I'm not quite sure who that one's aimed at all. UK retail price, £99. Again, I think it's a great watch for 99 quid. Unfortunately, if you live in the land down under like I do, we are getting humped on this one royally. 249 Aussie pesos for one of these. I don't think it's such a great watch at $240. I'll be trying to find one from overseas when I'm on my travels or waiting for the buzz to subside somewhat before jumping in. I think that's a bit of a price gouge. 99 US translates at 145, 150 Aussie. I think that's a reasonable price to pay, not the 250 they're trying to charge us. So unless you really have to be the first kid on your block with the CasiOak, I'd wait for the hype to die down a little bit more and pick one up at retail. 45mm in diameter, but less than 12mm thick, making this the slimmest G-Shock ever produced. All things being relative, of course, they are usually quite chunky. 48mm lug tip to lug tip on this one, but they've changed the way that the bracelet sits into the case. I'll give you a comparison side by side with my 5600 in just a minute. This one wears better than any G that I've worn so far. It really does wear a treat. 51 grams I think is a big part of that factor. It is nice and light in spite of that initially foreboding diameter dimension at 45. And as you can probably see from the dial already, there's a bunch of features that you don't get with the base model 5600, including an AniDigi display. I love AniDigis. A day of the week indicator. This one has a World Cities function, dual time, 5 alarms, timer, stopwatch, 3-year battery life, 200-meter water resistance, and of course all that rugged durability that you get when you buy a G-Shock. You also get what they're calling a carbon core guard. I'll go macro here and show you what it is. It's basically a carbon composite outer layer to protect the module from bumps and shocks. I'm not sure that this will necessarily offer any more protection than the old plastic ones did, but hey, it's cool to have a little bit of carbon on your wrist for $100, isn't it? You will have noticed, I'm sure though, that it's still the screw-on stainless steel case back rather than the screw-down stainless steel case back that you get with the more expensive metal Gs. You will also have noticed, I'm sure, quick release spring bars. Again, a first for a Casio G-Shock. I assume that they'll be launching a range of bracelets to complement your CasiOak at some point over the course of 2020. Now back to the front of the watch. Apart from that octagonal, slightly smoothed octagonal bezel shape, there really isn't much visually to compare this one to an AP Royal Oak, but I guess it's a cool nickname, which is why it has stuck. The module in here is a 5611. I believe it is the first time it's been used. It's just used in this 2100 G-Shock model. I'm not going to run you through all of the functionality. That would take about 20 minutes, but I will show you a couple of its cooler features. There is some lume on the hour and the minute hand. I guess you could consider the lume on this one to be a bit of a bonus. It's not too bad actually. It's certainly more powerful than some of the other Ani-Digi Casios that I have owned in the past, but you do have the added functionality of a light there, as you can see, lighting up the little digital display. One cool feature is that if you're using that digital display for some reason at night, if you're desperate to see what time it is or you're using that to set a mode, if you're in the time mode, if you press both of these buttons, if you press the light and the mode button simultaneously, if the hands are fouling the digital display, they will automatically rotate to this 5 to 11 position, giving you a nice clear view of whatever it is you're doing down there. That one obviously in time mode can be set to the date or the time to duplicate the display there. One more touch of the mode and they will very slowly, and I mean very slowly, return to the regular position. Now, one feature that this watch does not have is Bluetooth. I reckon Bluetooth is a bit of a gimmick on these G-Shocks anyway. Doesn't have the atomic time set mode, which is, again, not a big issue for me in Australia because we don't have the atomic clock capability down here. One feature that I do miss though is solar. Perhaps they will release an even more expensive model in the years to come with the usual grid pattern here and the solar cell in the back of it. That's really the only feature that is lacking here, I think. It does have all the usual features you'd expect from a G-Shock on the mode button. One press gets you into world time mode, the second is a stopwatch, third is a countdown timer, 5 alarms as discussed, and then back to the regular time. But just as much as its myriad features, it's how this watch wears that is a big part of the appeal. I've got an average size 7-inch wrist for your reference. I've always preferred the smaller Gs as a consequence. I found them big and chunky. This one doesn't feel big and chunky at all thanks to that 12mm thickness and just a shade over 50 grams in weight. As I said in the intro, it isn't the most legible of the models that are available. Casio do these kind of blacked out versions which are very good to look at but not the most practical. You still get a reasonable read on this one thanks to the coloration difference between the hands and the dial. And that's it outside in some natural light in Sydney. It's just a piece of plastic covering the dial as with all of these cheaper end G-Shocks. No anti-reflective coating there, but still a reasonable amount of legibility between the choice of displays. I intimated it earlier on, it curves, it conforms to the wrist much better than the standard G-Shock 5600 in my humble opinion. And there are the two watches side by side, the 5600 on the right and the CasiOak on the left, and that's how I would wear them. They're both kind of sized for me and you can see the difference here. This one still juts out thanks to a rather stiff resin band. This one, much more conformity, it drops straight away and the band itself I think is considerably softer than the one on the basic G. So like I said, at $99 US, this is a great G-Shock. I think one of the best G-Shocks on the market for that price, if you can indeed pick it up for that price. Heaps and heaps of functionality that you don't get with the basic Gs, and an even better level of wearability than the standard squares. I, for one, am delighted with the introduction of this model series, and I'm really looking forward to see where Casio goes with it in the future. So there you have it, not the most legible watch in the world, this CasiOak, but without a doubt the coolest, most comfortable, best fitting, best wearing and undeniably most fabulous Casio G-Shock that I have had the pleasure of reviewing thus far. I will be picking one of these up at some stage, but I won't be going for this super blacked out version. There is a version with white hands and indices. That's the one I'll be going for because I do actually use my watch to tell the time. I know, right? But a seriously cool watch. It wears fantastically. It looks great. I wouldn't buy one over retail, but I'll definitely buy one when I see them on special. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.